when I start throwing things.
Oops, I found it's quite good for short, relatively. I use it with relatively short one person things, but when I've tried to be more ambitious, I've struggled with it.
And here we are. We made it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Good evening, guys. We are live. Please do not swear, Adam. Yeah. Anyway, it's Friday night. We are back and with some announcements. Obviously, my co-hosts are not going to be here tonight. The lovely Andrea Mason and Andrea Evans, they're not here. They've got commitments elsewhere. So I'm joined by the beautiful Nancy Nance and the wonderful Nick Ronald. How are you both again?
Excellent. Great to be here. Yeah, no. Excited.
Well, I get the afternoon sunshine.
Yes,
while
and
you guys
Robert
are in the
Brooker.
evening.
Yeah. Oh my God. Thanks for reminding me, Robert. Nancy. Oh my God. It's the full moon tonight.
Yes.
That explains it. That's why.
Friday the 13th, we've got a great big, huge
What a time to be connected.
I forgot that. There you go. Friday the 13th and the full moon.
Friday the 13th, and it's an equinox. So we have an opportunity to let go of the things that don't serve us. Get your intentions written out now.
There you go. Now's the time.
Yes, well, obviously, I do have a few announcements. Obviously, there's that. And then there's another one is, ladies and gentlemen, Warriors of Attraction, because that's the name of this show. This is our final show on StreamYard. Because someone from Australia who I've connected with, Alan Stevens, he's introduced me to a new platform called Be Connected, where we're going to be flipping over to that starting next week. So obviously I'm still playing around with it, see what I have to do. As it is trial before error, I say. But anyway, let's see how that goes. We are supposed to be joined by Philip Monhagan, the creator of the Kingsman Men's Mental Health show, but he's having really bad technical issues at the minute. So, yeah, so obviously we'll just get discussing. Hang on a minute, he's here now. Let's just see if he can actually come to the stage.
We see you.
You see there?
And we hear you.
The lighting
Can you
is
hear
not as
me?
good here, but at least we got it together. Yeah, I've just basically gone upstairs and plugged the laptop in.
Good. Good for us.
Yeah, I was on my mobile. It wouldn't work for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know why, but the sound is not as good on this one. So, how you all doing?
We can still hear you though.
We can hear you. We can hear you. It sounds like you're a little bit
right. Yeah.
A little bit bathtubby. That's all. It good.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We can hear him loud and clear. We can hear him loud and clear. That's okay.
Good.
That's okay.
Good.
It's not about the handsome looks. It's about what message comes out.
Right. Good. Yeah.
So obviously, we're going to start by introducing our intro video, and then we'll just get down to it. Talk about our topic, which is overcoming depression and eating disorders from Phil. So obviously, we'll be showing the story. Then we'll be discussing on how he created the Kingsman community for men's mental health, which he's not that far from me, by the way, Nance. He's not. He actually lives about 20 minutes away in driving?
Yeah.
Roughly around that. So we will see you in about 30 seconds.
There we go. A little clip.
You're going to have to give me 1 minute because I can't hear you. I'm going to have to put my
There you go.
headphones on. One
Yeah,
sec.
and welcome back. Yeah.
Look, great intro, Adam. I like that.
The speakers are not very good on this laptop.
Well, and I mean, we're all getting to see firsthand how Phil deals with all the situations that life throws at him.
So,
And he's gone.
I like your intro, Adam.
yeah. Am I breaking up?
No.
No, I think you're good.
Yeah. Awesome. Right, and welcome Stephen R. Smith. Hope you are well also. Yeah, obviously we've got an amazing intro for that video. Absolutely. So, I don't know what's happened to Phil, but we are going to be discussing about overcoming depression and eating disorders. So, I want to start by obviously Phil, introduce like who you are, where you're from, and how you came to doing what you're doing today.
The Kingsman. Yeah, the Kingsman support group for men. I started the Kingsman last December. It's not very long ago. Basically, it came about because I suffered quite a lot myself in the late teens. I'd say up to around age 30, really, which is quite a long time to suffer from really bad anxiety, depression. I wouldn't go to I came to a point where I couldn't face people. I wouldn't go to any sort of weddings or any receptions or anything like that. If I did manage to get out, I would sit in a corner somewhere and keep quiet, basically. And that's how bad it really got. And through that, I suffered, I'd say probably around 1980 the most, up to 90, which is a long time to be in a depressed mode, really. That's where I was at that time. I didn't have many friends. I kept myself to myself. It got that bad I stopped going out, speaking to people. It affected me in quite a big way, really. And I became sort of self-aware about myself, about my thinking styles and things like that, and what people thought of me. I had this really strange thing about people didn't like me and things like that. It was really strange. But yeah, that was the depressive sort of stage I went through, and that led to an eating disorder. I actually went down to 7 stone at that time. I think I was around 28, something like that. And it was all a snowball effect, really. And I've always been a bit quiet and a bit introverted, although you won't believe it now. As a child, I kept myself to myself as a child. I had low self-esteem, lack of confidence, all those kind of things. I wouldn't sort of play football or any Greek things like that. So yeah, it was like it was a build-up to depression, and it got to that point where I decided to go and see the doctor. I was into my 30s then, believe it or not. I left it that long. So yeah, I went to the doctor. He's prescribed medication, which I refused at that time. A lot of my friends are going through the same thing. They were on antidepressants. Nothing seemed to really work for them. And I think that's where I got to the point where I thought, there's got to be another way of doing this. There's got to be another way of getting through it. And so I started looking at ways of making myself better, like self-help, really. So what I found with the rest of my friends who were sort of on medication and really struggling, they all seemed to go down the same route, which they went to the doctors, they got medication. I mean, some of these guys were on them for like 10 years. I mean, I'm going back to sort of 1980s, 1990s, and some of these guys are still actually on the medication now, which is really, really strange. So yeah, I suffered with depression, anxiety, really, really bad panic attacks. I had really bad anxiety as well. So if I went into, let's just say, like some sort of party or something like that, I wouldn't sit anywhere where I couldn't get out of the place. So I'd be looking for, if I sat down, I'd be looking for somewhere to escape if I needed to. And then it came to the point where I couldn't eat in front of people, and that's where the eating disorder came into being then. So that went on for, like I said, 10 years, probably a bit longer than that. And then it's a bit strange, this really, I'm going to tell you. At probably about 1995, something like that, I was watching a program on TV, and there was this guy teaching people how to overcome the problems psychologically rather than medication, and teaching people about the mind and how the mind works. So I really got into that, and I sort of had a light bulb moment at that time, because some of these people had really bad sort of eating disorders and depression and things like that, and he was teaching them how to control the mind and how to use like personal development techniques and things like that, how to overcome the problem. So I started looking for a way to get myself better, really. So I just started reading on psychology, went to the local library, got books on that, and started reading up about that. And then in one of the books, it had like a course you could go on. So I enrolled on a psychology course. It was called hypnoanalysis, and basically what that was, it was clinical hypnosis and sort of analytical techniques sort of intertwined. So you'd use the hypnosis to get the person into a relaxed state, and then you would use what we called free association of past events. So you would get that person to just do that for say like 20 to 40 minutes once a week. So they would just come and just basically just spill everything out. So that's where the hypnoanalysis came into my life, and it was like, it wasn't an instant thing. It wasn't all I just woke up one morning, I was fine. So one of the actual things you had to do on the course, you had to go, as part of the getting certificate, you had to go through 6 months of psychoanalysis as part of the training. And that was, to be honest with you, quite an eye-opener for me. I uncovered quite a lot of things from the past, from when I was a child. A lot of traumatic things, really, that were sort of deep-rooted or embedded in the subconscious, and they were just sort of affecting me in my daily life that I didn't realise they were doing still. So I went through that course for about 6 months, and then I started feeling a little bit better. I can't really pinpoint, it sounds a bit strange, but I can't really pinpoint when I actually realised that I was better, if that makes sense. It wasn't like, well, I'm better now type of thing. It was a gradual sort of process, really. I mean, one of my friends used to ask me to go out previous to that. I would get really bad anxiety and panic attacks and just make an excuse up, just so I'm not feeling well or something like that. and as time went on after the analysis, I don't know, I didn't feel as anxious. And when people started asking me to go places with them or go to events, I didn't get that over the anxiety, that overwhelming feeling that I felt something was wrong. I stopped getting that over a period of time. And traveling on public transport, like on the bus or something like that, was out of the question, basically. And then after some time, I started to go into events, started talking to people, and then before I realised it, I started feeling better. And I didn't really, I didn't notice it over like an overnight thing. It probably took, I'd say, 6 to 12 months before I started realising that I was doing things that I couldn't do before, but not feeling overwhelmed. And I think the biggest thing for me was the depression had gone. That was like, you know, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. It's absolutely the most horrible thing that I went through for like 10 years. And that was, the way I could explain that to you was, if I used to go to bed at night. I don't know if you ever seen the film, The Man in the Mask, where he put the iron mask on. Have you seen that film, Adam? The Man in the Iron Mask, have you seen that?
Yeah, I don't know what you mean, Phil.
Yeah, that one. They put him in a tower and they put an iron mask on him.
Nick,
Yeah,
Nick, can you just take over a minute? I just need to go and deal with my baby. So
Sure,
I'll be back shortly. I will.
Sure. Yeah, no, I know that film, Phil. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so, yeah, Nick. So, yeah, like I said, it was the only way I could explain it, really. I mean, this went on for like 10 years. It was like horrific.
Okay.
It was like someone was squeezing my head constantly. And so I had like a really heavy hat on.
Sure.
Pressuring down. So I would go to bed at night with that, and when I woke up in the morning, it was like it was still there, and it was a constant thing, 24/7, and it never went away. And I think that took its toll on the whole body, really, on the whole health, mental health, and physical as well. I think that, to me, was the worst thing that I went through. And obviously the eating disorder wasn't the best.
Was that? I mean, that sounds like a pivotal moment. You know, where I guess you was that when you started to sort of put some of the things in place that you've been doing. You know, that point when, because I guess it often with these things, you get to a certain point and you think, right, you got things have to change, then you try different things, and then at some point something starts to work. Was it at that point that?
Yeah, it was the point. Like I said, it's not like I woke up one morning and then realised that I didn't have this mask on. It wasn't like, it was really strange. It was something that I can't really explain that bit to people. But over time, I didn't get anxiety or anything like that. It was really strange. Even just the thought of going out or just talking to a stranger, my body would sort of go into this sort of convulsion, and then I'd have really bad depression after that, because that would trigger off obviously the physical side of it, not eating like for days and things like that.
Sure.
I would go for days without eating anything.
Yeah.
And that I'd say affected my self-esteem, my self-worth.
That's understandable.
And that's what happens when you get depression. You never think that you're ever going to get over that.
No, I still think I think I definitely, I can identify with some of the things you say. Not all of them, but I can definitely. I think with depression, I agree. I think it's something when you go through it, you think, well, how is it ever going to end? It sort of seems to be going on forever.
Yeah.
And I think you often people try lots of things, trying to find a way to move on from it. But it's that thing of it. Am I going to be in some depression forever? So I can definitely answer that. I pick up on something you said, Phil. You said that you went through that period of self-analysis at one stage. Do you think understanding yourself as a person and and looking inwards and really sort of knowing who you are and what you've been going through, and is that help with moving forwards? Is that process useful? Do you mean? Because
oh yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. Definitely, that's definitely right. Basically, up to that point where I started to get better, I didn't feel worthy. I had low self-esteem, lack of confidence, and things like that. But it wasn't through. It wasn't through my self-analysis. I actually went to a therapist for that.
Okay.
It's really strange, this, because when I first started the course, I was really happy that I'm moving forward with this, and I'd say about a third of the way through the course, it said that you can't do it on yourself. So I was thinking, I'm going to learn all these things, and then I'm going to start using them on myself.
Sure.
And,
I think you lost your sound there, Phil. I'm not sure I can hear you. Have your microphones on? Or so you lost your sound, Phil. Or is your microphone on? No, I can't. Can't hear you. Maybe we have to go out and come back in. Not sure. Can't. Yeah, can't. You. Yeah, I can't. I can't hear you, Phil. Can you hear me, Phil? Can you hear me, Phil? Oh, I can't. No, I can't hear you. You seem to just lost your sound. So yeah, Adam. Phil, we've just lost Phil's sound. I don't know if he can get back now, but I think I don't know if his microphone's playing up, but Phil was just sharing his experiences and what he's been doing to sort of move forward.
Yeah.
I think we lost him. He was sharing that he went through. I think you were here a period of self-analysis, and he said that really helped understanding who he was as a person and what his challenges have been, and and I think he said that was one of the most useful things is to move forward, is to know who he was and really look inside. But
absolutely, and this is what it's all about, because I would say, if people know me, I'm blunt as it comes. People do have shit days from time to time. They do, and you know what? It used to affect me an awful lot on a personal level. But you know what? I've now learned to change the way I'm actually thinking about things. And now I'm actually seeing shit days. Yay, it's a shit day. We all have shit days, but see it as a positive as well, because this gives us the opportunity to gather those tools that we already have to bounce back.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's good, you know, that I think I don't know what to say about Phil. I think one of the points I think I take from what Phil was saying is that there's no one, you know, for people suffering from depression, there's no one solution that fits everyone. There's not one thing that will help everyone. Different things will help different people in the way they manage it or overcome it. But one thing that definitely does help is I think, you know, not being, you know, if you're suffering from depression, not being ashamed of it, not being embarrassed about it, but, you know, like you say, to a certain extent, being open, honest, and being able to talk about it, because actually it's, you know, as we know, you know, it's incredibly common, and for you know, people to go through depression, and, you know, a lot of people in society, you know, do go for it. So there is no one solution to you know, overcoming it, but certainly, like you say, you know, just being aware of it. And
I want to highlight this comment from Stephen: change how you think and overcome obstacles. I'm glad you mentioned that, Stephen. I really do, and I appreciate you for actually being here, because I've now learnt that, yeah, people annoy us in life. Of course they do. But if you think about it logically, the only obstacle in someone's life is yourself. And I'm going to elaborate on that. And please stop me if anyone stop me if you think I'm talking out my ass. But the only obstacle is ourselves, because yes, there are people out there that do annoy us, and they do genuinely annoy us. They annoy me from time to time, but it's all about your perspective on how you respond to these situations, to these people. Because if you take it personal, then you're gonna hold that grudge against them. If you hold that grudge for, I don't know, 2, 3, or even longer, many years, you're gonna finally realize, yeah, they made me annoyed at that time, but I haven't spoken to them for God knows how long, so why am I still annoyed? So really, in reality, you're gonna be annoyed at yourself for being annoyed. So it's all about changing your perspective on things and rise above it. I can't hear you, Phil. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's like that point of, we can't control what happens to us in life, because there'll always be things that happen to us, and people say things. Well, we can control how we respond to them, and, you know, if how we respond to things that happen is the one thing we do have control over. And, you know, that the ultimate sort of power, you know, we have in our lives is by choosing how to respond to things. That's the one bit of power we have. We control, you know, we can't control what people are going to say, what's going to happen in the day. No one knows what's going to happen and pop up in the day. And there'll always be things that's stressful and people who say bad things. But the one thing we do control is what's our reaction. How do we deal with that? You know, and like you say, it's
absolutely, yes. And you know what? I've actually shared a post surrounding that. I don't know if you've seen it, Nick, but it's this big circle thing, and it's on the outside is all people's perspective on things and what they think of you. Then the inside is what you should be thinking. Don't think about the outside, because what goes on the outside has got nothing to do with you. Other people's perspective on you doesn't matter. It's what you think, and the only opinion that should matter is your own.
I think it's a very wise words there, Adam. Honestly, it's so true. I mean, it's I think it's almost like, really, I think one of the most liberating things you can do, you know, is to not, I'm not saying not care what people say, but that's not quite expressing right, but to be able to take or leave what people say. You know, if people say things, at the end of the day, you know, it's only people's opinion, and you're, like you say, you know, that circle in the middle, you know, that opinion of yourself, you know, that self-belief, you know, whoever you are, whatever your faults in life, and we all have our own faults, you know, but having that belief in yourself as fundamentally as a person, that's the most important opinion of all,
Exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah, because if you think about it, and Stephen, please, or anyone else that's tuned in tonight, if you're thinking about people's opinions, then that's going to drag you down. And people that's throwing all these name callings, saying you're an idiot, you're stupid, and all that, that's their ego. That's not them. So, and this is what I've said this numerous times on live, and I'm going to say it again. If people have a problem with someone else, ignore it. Yes, it's easy said than done and all that. I get all that, fair enough. But if you have a problem with someone having a problem with you, don't let that be your problem. That's their problem. That is their problem. Because at the end of the day, you are your own gatekeeper of your own mindset. And I'm going to elaborate on that. Because, of course, doubt's going to get him. It is doubt, negativity. It's all going to come through that gate. If you allow it. If you allow it. And, of course, you're always going to catch up. Because these negativities, negative people, why are you letting them or letting people have grudges of you or opinions of you? Why are you letting that person live in your mind rent-free? Pick them out.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now I can. Now I
You're
can.
back.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is anybody there?
Yeah. So what?
Wow.
Why you've come and gone, Phil? What do you
Wow.
think of what I've just said? What we've just been talking about?
I couldn't. What you saw, I wasn't on. So
Right,
what-
it's basically it's about people's perspective on you, or anyone. Because I'm basically saying that you are your own gatekeeper of your own mindset, and of course, negativity and opinionated idiots are going to come through. Of course, they are.
Yeah.
But only if you allow it. And why should we allow these negative people live in our mindset rent free? Because the only person that's got control over your own mindset is you, not anyone else. So why should we let them bother us?
yeah, I think the thing with that, what I can pinpoint on that, what you're talking about, is down to your belief system. And a lot of your belief system is subconscious.
Yes.
And obviously, because it's away from your everyday thinking, you sort of go around on autopilot. And if you go into a group and people are calling you and you feel hurt by that, I'd say probably 90% of that is unconscious. You're not aware of. So basically, what you do, you blame it on the situation and the people around you, what they're saying. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody says something and it hurts you inside, that's because it's not what they've said, it's your interpretation of that. And most of your interpretation is false. It's like a false belief about yourself, which affects you then in social situations.
Yeah.
So you could be talking about social anxiety disorder and that kind of thing, where people are really hurt about what other people say. So basically what you do, you go through the rest of your life like that, basically, if you don't understand how your mind works and about your belief systems can cause you a lot of problems. You could also say that your subconscious mind really can be your best friend or your worst enemy.
Yeah.
Really, that's one of the things that that's one of the things that I learned through my training, obviously, and going through analysis myself, that I got to understand myself on a deeper rooted perspective. More to, if you look at a person who's got sort of two sides to themselves, really, they've got a conscious and the unconscious. The main driving force is unconscious, which is your belief systems. And most of your belief systems are built up to the age of 7, and then that's what you become at that time, and then anything from that point on, it's set in stone in your mind, basically. And then when you get affected by what people say, you think, oh, it's just me, you know, I've done something wrong, or maybe you blame yourself for something. So that's really how it works. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about, Adam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You're literally spot on there. I don't know. I was about to say rock on. I'm not. But
Rock on, Tommy.
As well. But what I've also learned is, and I learned this earlier in the year as well, is I was dealing with my trauma from my childhood, and when I spoke with a psychologist, and she said, "Okay, you've dealt with it externally," and I'm like, "Okay, I get that," and then she's asking, "Okay, so what about your internal trauma?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I never dealt with it internally. And that's what people need to do is deal with it externally, but also internally. And what I mean by that, for people that don't understand, is externally is your outside trauma. Internally is what's inside.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's what you need to do.
Yeah. So that obviously that confirms what I've just said around your subconscious mind is a really, really powerful thing. And one of the things I actually learned was your mind, you can describe your subconscious as black and white. It doesn't have any grey areas. So this is where like NLP and these type of sort of approaches come in handy, really. So basically,
I know
with
where
NLP,
this is going now, Phil. I know exactly where this is going.
Yeah. So basically, NLP, what you're doing, you're training because your subconscious mind only does what you tell it to do, basically. So if you keep telling yourself, you know, good, you got low self-esteem, it thinks that's what you want, and it'll act on that. Yeah. It's no different if you say, oh, I want a successful life, I want more money, I want this, I want that. If you can look at the law of attraction and the way you speak, the words that you use and that kind of thing on a daily basis, what you're actually doing there, you're retraining your subconscious mind then. So you're going in and it's repetition, you know. And that's why obviously the teller's called programs, because the programming on a daily basis as you're growing up. So it goes into your subconscious, and that's what it expects, and that's what it thinks the world's all about. So on the perspective of NLP and hypnotherapy and things like that, and to a certain extent CBT as well, helps greatly with that, because you can reprogram your subconscious, but it takes a lot of effort. Because obviously,
just to simplify what Phil has actually just said, basically your subconscious mind, like obviously, for example, say if I say, okay, think of a pink elephant, suddenly you're going to start thinking of one.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's how it is. And that's why there's that saying, there's always an elephant in the room. And that's where it's come from. So my question to you now, and is, how did you bounce back from these shitty times of being depressed, the anxiety, the eating disorders, to say, you know what, I don't want to be like this anymore?
Yeah. I was mentioning to Nick before you went away about when I went through the analysis for 6 months. It wasn't an overnight success, because that's what I was looking for, and it doesn't work like that. There's no quick fix, really, to be honest with you. So yeah, what happened was, I was saying to Nick, I started. I was mentioning to Nick about start having a mask on or like a hat that's heavy on my head, like 24/7, and that pressure every single day. When I went to bed at night, I had it, and when I woke up in the morning, it was still there. So it started dragging me down and dragging me down. And then I got low self-esteem, and that led to like anxiety, panic attacks, not eating for days, and that kind of thing, not feeling worthy, lack of confidence, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it got to that point. When I was doing my training, it was like a light bulb moment for me. It wasn't like, oh yeah, everything's rosy. It wasn't like that. It was because I think I was learning, and I was retraining my brain on a daily basis, looking for new ways of speaking to myself and speaking to other people and asking people what they thought of me. That's a bigger, that one. Because when you got low self-esteem, lack of confidence, that's something that you don't really do. you avoid that. So it's basic confronting that then. So where all that stemmed from, as I went through the analysis, was when I was young, I'd say probably, I don't know, up to say 10, 11, 12 years old, I didn't have a very good picture of myself. So basically, all the things that happened to me and the things that people said to me, I took on board as being the gospel. And what happened then was, because I was reaffirming that to myself every day as a child, I'll never be good enough, and all those things that I was saying, they become deep rooted in your subconscious and your belief system. So I thought, well, I'll never be good enough, or you know, nobody likes me, or anything like that. So they were all deep rooted things. But as I went through the analysis and started going back to when I was a child and uncovering all these false belief systems about myself, if you want to call them that, unlimited beliefs about myself, I think that's what did it. That's the only thing I can pinpoint, really. And emotion.
We were just talking about that, weren't we, Nick? Emotions.
Yeah.
The emotions as well. What happens when something happens to you as a child, because you don't have the intellect to work things out, the way I describe it is you live your life through emotions. You get really hurt really quickly, and it gets you inside like Cupid's arrow, that type of thing. Yep. So what happens when something happens to you as a child? You lock those emotions away because you feel that bad. You just want to move on and get away from it. You know, so you run off, don't you? And everything's going to be all right tomorrow, and then something else happens. You got to remember there's thousands and thousands and thousands of events in your life up to your teenage years that you don't really think about after that point. You know, so but they're still there in your mind. So what the analysis did was, because you're going back to them, but now you're looking from a different perspective. You sort of like got like another set of eyes and ears to listen and look and work things out. So you go back to those events that were traumatic, if you want to call them that. But because you're looking from the outside into this picture or into this emotion, you can change it somehow. And what you're doing then, because if you go back to an event when you say like 7, 8 years old, that you didn't have any recollection of now as an adult, you're reliving it and you're rewriting the scripts.
Yes.
Because now you're
perspective.
Yeah, because now you're an adult you're actually looking at yourself as a child, and now you're saying, well, that wasn't really my fault, and what could I have done about that at the time? I couldn't have done anything. That's from the adult perspective. But as a child perspective, you don't think that way. You just run away, and you get away from that feeling. So it's trapped in your subconscious mind, away from your everyday thinking, because you don't want to remember. Mm-hmm. I don't know about repressions. So it becomes a repression in your subconscious. You've got thousands of them. Literally, thousands of them are still in your mind. So basically what happens then, what I discovered was later on in life, you get triggers for these events. So let's just say, I don't know, as an adult, you lose your job or you're going to lose your house or something like that. And it really affects you, doesn't it? Like you get depressed and, you know, you're worrying every day and all those kinds of things. But the
Like
thing,
grief,
here's the thing. Because you've got all these repressed emotions still in your subconscious mind, what happens is, if it's found a release for that. So what it does, it puts all the past events that have happened to you as a child, it puts it onto that event. You're losing your house. So no, it doesn't become just losing your house. It becomes all the past repressed stuff as well. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you pile all that on top of losing your house as well, or losing a loved one, or I don't know, break up a relationship and things like that. And you can actually prove that as well. This is one of the things that it's offers.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, and obviously Nick, please pipe in as well. I actually shared a post surrounding that just the other day, where it's basically, instead of celebrating like achievements and this and that, celebrate like losing your job and a breakup of a relationship. Yeah, it may seem shit at the time, but it's an opportunity for you to actually gain your self-identity again.
Well,
Just
yeah,
saying.
go on, Nick.
I mean, just to add, I think we know in some ways we like create our own reality. So if we have if we're young, you know, and a kid, and people treat, you know, we get some bad experience, people saying bad things and treating us badly, and we lose our confidence.
Yeah.
Then we may think, oh, you know, no one likes us, and that, you know, that's our reality, and then we look for things to sort of to reinforce that, and we think everything that happens reinforces that view, and I think one of the things interesting you said, Phil, was that it got to a point where you started challenging those, you know, some of the thoughts you had, and I think you know, that's the kind of key thing where, you know, it's kind of, you know, you have to sort of challenge and say, well, yeah, you know, I did have that experience, or did say that, or I did lose my job, or but is that me? Does that represent me? You know, so, you know, different things happening to you doesn't represent you as a person or your whole life. You know, it's kind of just challenging those, and you know, and that's, you know, it's interesting how you at that point did that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest single thing really for me was going through that analysis for 6 months. I think that was the absolute key. I mean, Nick, I don't know, obviously you don't know much about myself, but I've been private practice for like over 20 years now as a psychotherapist, and when I first started, I was trying to do everything by the book, and you know, like you do, and you find it doesn't work. But yeah, so I did that for a while, and then over a period of time, you learn your own little way of doing things, don't you? And yeah, so you sort of tweak it a little bit as you're going along. But what I discovered was some of these people that were coming with depression, and they'd had it for like longer than me, like 20, 30, 40 years. Some of these people have had it, and it's like, oh my God, you know. And I try my best to put that across, that it doesn't matter how long you've had it, that's irrelevant to you, you know, because what you got to look at is you can get over it. This is the key. This is the key to get a person to believe that. I mean, that's no mean feat in itself. You know, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, what I learned after quite a while, if somebody came to see me and I was talking to them and explaining, like I've just done to you guys now, about your repressed emotions, and you know, I would talk to an individual, I'd say, for about 45, 50 minutes about analysis and how your mind works and all those kinds of things, and really go really into depth over it. Within 45 minutes, I could actually tell if that therapy will work on that person or not. It's really strange, you know, and I thought it's really weird, this. And how I discovered that was, I mean, people were coming, and when I first started doing the hypnoanalysis and the therapy, I was getting frustrated with myself because I really wanted to help people, and people like wouldn't turn up, and they'd stop coming for no reason, and all those kind of things. It's really frustrating. But I think what I started to do, I started to sabotage myself a bit, thinking, "Oh, is it me? Am I doing something wrong or whatever?" So when I realised I was doing that, I changed things around a bit. So what I started doing is, instead of trying to make them better, I tried to get them to understand their self better, rather than me trying to put it on them, if that makes sense.
Is it,
Well, when
yeah.
it comes to mental health, I don't think anyone can actually be cured of mental health. I just think that's totally bollocks. But you can stabilize it. And that's what I think. And when I come across people that are saying, "Oh, I'm over mental health. Mental health doesn't exist with me anymore," I'm like, really?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the point, one point I think Phil was saying earlier is when you're going through something like depression, you think, "Oh, I'm going to have depression. I'm going to be depressed forever. I'm going to have depression forever." And yes, you may, like you say, these things, these things perhaps never go away, but to the extent that it dominates who you are, that can obviously change over time, and I think it's hard in that moment when you're going for it. You do think, well, it's never going to change. How can I get out of it? How can I, change things? And I think, I suppose, the point is that, different things work for different people, but you may never be, get to that point where you're never going to get depressed. But, things, it's like you said.
I think the way you could look at that, Nick, is obviously Adam's mentioned that about he doesn't think people can get over that, but obviously I've got a different perspective on that, because I've seen it with my own eyes, thousands of times that you can. And I'm probably a living testament to that, and that's why I still do what I do, because you can actually do that. It's it's like, I mean, I don't know if you've heard of miracles or anything like that, or you believe in anything like that, but I think what it boils down to is understanding yourself. And when somebody says, "Oh, that they're completely over something," how would you judge that? How would you find that out? Because like Adam says, somebody says, "Oh, I'm completely over it," but when you speak to them under the microscope, you discover that there's little bits still there, little bits and bats that could tip them back over the edge.
And this is what I said earlier. It's all about dealing with, like, when it comes to trauma, for example, like with the different levels of trauma. It could be external and internal. And now what I was saying earlier is, I dealt with my external trauma, but little did I know there was an internal trauma I still needed to do. And I thought I was okay, but clearly I wasn't. So I think to your question is, how do you actually know when someone's over it? Is you need to look at their behaviour.
You do. I mean, the key thing with basically what I do is, to be honest with, when somebody comes for the analysis, it sounds really strange, this. if somebody comes with like really bad anxiety, or they can't go out, or whatever that is, and they manage to get to the clinic, and then they'll sit there and they'll talk for like an hour about the depression and stuff, which is what you'd understand to be that way, wouldn't you? But what I want them to do is stop. I don't want you to talk about that. I don't want you to talk about your anxiety. I don't want you to talk about today. I don't want you to talk about what you think about tomorrow and when you'll have it next week. I don't want you to do that. What I want you to do is just sit there and just close your eyes and relax, and just cast your mind back to a past event and let me know what you think, what comes into your mind, like a free association of a memory, and I'll speak about that. And what you find is your problems are not today, your problems are not tomorrow.
Distraction.
So the future's obviously not here yet, and the past is gone, if that makes sense, in a talking in our reality. But But the thing, when you start going into subconscious mind, you're looking for causes rather than the effects. So if somebody comes and is scared of, I don't know, dogs, or scared of like something like balloons or buses or something really strange like that, or spiders. What I found out as well, when people started going through analysis, they wouldn't mention certain little things like, say somebody came with really bad anxiety, and then so like 6, 7, 8 weeks down the line,
Yeah.
they'll say, Phil, it's really strange. Since I come last week, I've not had a cigarette.
Yeah.
They've stopped smoking. They're not come for stopping smoking. Can you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, there's definitely a
Yeah.
an
So
element
basically, that's a second again to going through the analysis. You're not looking for one specific thing. And when somebody comes to treatment, they're looking for one specific answer to the question. And there is none.
maybe understanding yourself as a person. I mean, whoever, anyone is that's the sort of a key thing here, isn't it? It's
So the key thing, with the analysis, you don't focus on one specific thing,
no.
because it's all those thousands of repressed emotions that you forgot about. Yeah, I don't know if you heard that, Adam, about the smoker. Adam?
Yeah. I was listening. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying, you get second against to things. The really strange thing is as well, when I went through my analysis, when I was in that state of depression and anxiety, I used to smoke like a trooper. I smoked 20 fags a day. Yeah. And I woke up one morning, I thought, I'm not going to have another cigarette. And I stopped smoking. That was 30 years ago. And I've never wanted a cigarette, or it's like I've never been a smoker. It's really strange, that.
Yeah, I'm like that with caffeine, where obviously I said this on the previous show, where I was drinking 6 to 8 cups of coffee a day, and I was insomnia, depressive episode, mental health was absolutely shit. I was suicidal thoughts left, right, and centre. But now I've gone over a year without it, and to be honest, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's all in your mind. And I'd literally just walk up and say, I don't want it. So now I'm on the herbal teas. But anyway, let's wrap this up. And
we'll get through we've been on a while now. If you just sort of give you a bit rundown, finish on the Kingsman, because obviously Nick's jumped on for that. The Kingsman, really, like I started last December. Like I said, the point that I got to was I understood that most of your problems are subconscious, and then obviously you've got your belief systems play a big part in your daily life consciously, and then as time's gone on, what's happened was a friend of mine took his life. He was like an outgoing guy, fun and games, and a lovely fella. And he took his own life, and it really got to me, that. And I just thought, why did he not speak to me? Because he knew what I did for a job, and he never even mentioned it. And he just went like that, just gone. And then in 2004, my brother died at 45 as a young 45-year-old man that struggled a long time like myself, which led to his other issues that sort of ended his life really at an early age at 45. So I lost my brother, and then 2018 I lost another friend of mine, and I've just previously, about 6 months ago, another friend did the same thing. And it was like these things were like, playing on my mind and thinking, these guys need help, So, and that's where the Kingdom came about. I thought I'll set a group up where guys can come and talk, and express themselves, because the expressions is key. I mean, even through analysis is expression, isn't it? and speaking, instead of holding it in, get it out. So that's where the groups come in, and they're really effective as well because the guys are verbalising the problems instead of holding them in. So that's where the Kingsman came about, really. And within about, I'd say 3 or 4 months, we had like a visit for the mayor and the MP, and we even got a letter from House of Parliament as well, saying what such a good job we're doing. It was mind blowing. It blew up within 3 months. So, and then now we've got one in Bolton, one in Radcliffe. We spoke to one about near you, haven't we, Adam? We just opened another one now in Bury next week, and also one in Manchester. So we're going to have about 5 groups.
That's great.
In the next couple of weeks. So that's a bonus.
Yeah, that's great. That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, and I know Phil's going to be coming to my town, and we're going to have a chat about this.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely. I think we need one in every town, really.
Of course, I agree.
The events as well that I do are really important, taking it into the community. So guys can, you can hand your leaflets out and speak to the guys and, that kind of thing, and going to events and speaking to hundreds of people about it. Education is the key to this, especially for men, because men don't obviously talk, do they? To keep it to themselves.
Yeah.
So it's all about educating men, and that it's okay to talk and breaking that stigma, isn't it? That's what the Kingdom is all about. Yeah, so I know Adam's doing a great job. What you're doing.
Yeah, no, it shows how much there's a need for this film, and the need for people to talk and share and raise awareness.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah, so I hope it's been worthwhile for you guys tonight. Let me talk about me Kingsman and myself, and I hope you've picked a few things up.
It's good to chat to you, Phil. Yeah.
Got a few pointers.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll wrap this up. Obviously, this is the last show on StreamYard for me anyway, because we're going over to a different platform. More professional one, by the way. But next week, we're going to be talking a panel about mental health and racism, because that's not been spoken about yet. So we're going to be discussing
mental health for what?
We have actually got Dr. Lorraine Michael Harris coming on.
What's that, Adam? For what? What is it? Mental health for what? What's the show?
Racism.
Next week's topic is mental health and racism.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a biggie.
We're going to be discussing that next week.
A biggie.
Yeah.
That's going to be a panel discussion, so everyone's welcome to come on. That's not a problem. So, and obviously we have got Dr. Lorraine Michael Harris coming on. He just got his PhD. So so I'll see you all then, and we will see you on the other side.
Next week, hopefully.
Nice meeting you,
guys. Yeah, please
right,
share this, everyone. Please share this. Let's get this message out there.
Will do. Okay, nice to meet you, Phil.
Okay, brilliant. Nice speaking to you.